Shalom. Welcome to Rob on the Rock. I'm Rob Van Hoff. It's been quite a while since I've made a video, and I've just been spending a lot of time in prayer and in the Word, and obviously there's a lot of things going on in the world right now which are very disturbing. And one of the things I haven't seen addressed, if we pit things, it's Israel versus the world or things like this, there's things we need to look at specifically as well in terms of a covenantal framework. And if you see the screen here I'm sharing, this is the Tribe of Nova event advertisement for the rave concert that was at the border between the state of Israel and Gaza, in which there were 3,000 attendees and 260 were killed by the Hamas radical jihadists who parachuted into Israel. This was billed as you'll see here, Supernova Sukkot. Supernova Sukkot, and you've probably seen it in the, maybe you haven't. They had a giant inflatable Buddha statue that was featured over, you can see how big it was, over all the party goers, and this is called they call it psytrance event, where they pound electronic music at very specific rhythmic intervals and drone kind of entrancing electronic sounds to get people to dance and get into certain kind of trances. I don't know firsthand whether there were drugs at this place, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was drug use to help create this state. But before we look at that, this is the ad by the company that put on this music festival. And as you see here, it says Tribe of Nova presents Supernova, October 6th through 7th, 2023, Universo Paralelo. It's from Portuguese, World Tour Israel Edition. And it's got Hebrew, of course, here. But Tribe of Nova presents Supernova Sukkot. And you can just look at, they're calling it a Sukkot gathering for the Tribe of Nova. One thing I'll just notice, and not that I know that this is on purpose, but Nova backwards is Avon, which is sin in Hebrew. It's one of the words for iniquity. But notice some of the language here. We are thrilled and filled with pride and excitement to announce the truly exceptional and unprecedented event. Little did they know that will take place for the very first time in Israel. And I think this is the 23rd such event, but first in Israel. Notice it says, yes, just as it sounds, the most powerful and meaningful psytrance music festival in one of the most recognized and active psytrance nations is already making its way here. I'll have the link to this is below. I don't know. This is for the Eventbrite registration website. So I don't know if it'll be up for long because this is after the fact. This is October 21st that I'm recording this. An inseparable part of our continuous and everlasting vision is the creation of groundbreaking events infused with international standards and filled with a unique lineup. this time, during the upcoming Sukkot holiday, one of the biggest, most influential and revered festivals in the world is coming to Israel. It talks about the heart and soul of Brazilian trance music. Free love and spirit, environmental preservation is mentioned here. It says here, every 2 years, it spreads the love here for exquisite electronic music in all its variations, establishes an authentic connection to the social artistic ideology, and channels all these elements for empowerment. So it's channeling elements for empowerment, dissemination of the trance culture, which emerges as a universal cosmic light from the wild jungle that is Brazil and spreads throughout the world. So you can, so this is the 17th edition of the festival here. The festival will be held during the celebrations of New Civil Year in Praia de Pratigi, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, a hidden paradise located on the southern coast of Bahia, Brazil, within the mystical rainforest. And it goes on and says also here the word supernova, because remember this was billed as Supernova Sukkot, refers to the explosion of a massive star causing an immense burst of light in galactic terms. What can one imagine when these concepts intertwine during the upcoming Sukkot holiday? We assume that you can already imagine the result. So the tribe of Nova invites all of you to dive together with us into a tribal journey where the essence of unity and love combines forces with the best music, etc. We are on. And then it has instructions how to contact limited seating. There was a fee, so people profited off of this. But I really want to go back to this image here. It reminds me of the golden calf. There was a time way back in Israel after the Exodus where there's no leadership because Moshe's gone. In Exodus 32, the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain. People gathered themselves together to Aaron and said to him, "Up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." And what I see here with all the youth that we're celebrating under this giant Buddha statue, under this idea of rainforest mysticism and wild jungle rhythms and dancing, under an idea of unity of love, or free love, as it says, that there's no chokmah, there's no wisdom. There is a spending of, in a way, like the prodigal son, spending his inheritance. So there's a great spending on play and this idea of unrestrained freedom and this notion of peace, even right at the border in the desert before Gaza. And I don't know if you saw it, but even Bono, the singer for U2, changed the lyrics to one of their songs. They have a song called Pride, in the Name of Love, that was popular in the 80s. And one of the verses that's really powerful, it originally was about the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. And I remember it because I listened to it as a teenager, the early morning, April 4, shot rings out in the Memphis sky. So it was April 4th, of course, in Memphis when Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. He said, "Free at last. They took your life, but they could not take your pride." Now, of course, pride is the first word the advertisers have here. It says we are thrilled and filled with pride and excitement. And you look at some of the imagery here, the Gaia imagery of the tree, which is supposed to be, and there's kind of this psychedelic design, and even that looks more like a mandala, like a Buddhism influenced. I kind of see this as not surprising with the Buddha, inflatable Buddha. It's like a Western syncretism between Buddhism and some sort of mystical, South American or Brazilian mysticism, nature worship or something like that. But they do have little signals here, like the little unicorn with the rainbow horn on it, and so go back to here, and we see this imagery also again. But there's no chokmah, there's no wisdom. It's unrestrained human desire. And it's given in the name of love. And back to what U2 did, at least in one of their performances, he changed the words to that last bit. And he said, early morning, October 7th, I think he said, shot rings out in the desert sky. And then he said, stars of David, they took your life, but they could not take your pride. And again, I can understand from Bono's perspective and his limited worldview and his failure to grasp the depth of the covenant and who God is, for all his Christianity and for all his philanthropy and spreading of music throughout the world. He's an utter failure at this moment in communication because he's framing it in terms of stars of David as if they were entitled to protection by being Jews. And we know that not all of them were Israeli, not all of them were Jews. There were people from all over the world who had come to participate in this rave or psy trance musical event. And so I ask, with all these symbols being the core draw for people to come to Israel and to participate in this 2-day music festival in the desert, under the guise of Sukkot, if you are viewing the world from the eyes of the covenant, is this what Sukkot means? Or is this event more like the golden calf with Sukkot painted on the outside? And I suggest the latter, that there was no protection because the nation of Israel, the state of Israel, is out of its way. It does not have wisdom presently. I would say the same thing is true for the United States. We lack chokmah as a nation. There's no wisdom. And because there's no wisdom, these are children who have not been corrected by parents. And what we need is the spirit of Elijah, whereby the hearts of the sons turn to the fathers and the hearts of the fathers turn to the sons, and the ignorant turn to the wisdom of the wise. So the sign here is not to advocate for any particular kind of war or strategy to eliminate jihad or anything like this. We need to cry out to Yeshua, and we need to cry out that the Ruach Eliyahu, the spirit of Elijah, comes and that we hear the voice of truth, and that we recognize that it's our duty to stand within the covenant and to let the covenant terms that have been clearly laid out for us determine our focus, our priorities, and to stay in our lane and not puff up to try to be something we're not. So just as here in Exodus 2, they lacked wisdom. Moses wasn't there, and Aaron didn't have the wisdom to restrain. So Aaron said to them, take off the rings of gold that are in the ears of your wives, your son, your daughter, bring them to me. So it's like representations from the entire family, it's multi-generational. No one putting a stop to this. So all the people took off their rings of gold that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. So they're trusting the wrong person. They're investing Aaron with authority that God did not give Aaron. And Aaron doesn't know what to do. He's just a sinful human being like everybody else. So he received the gold from their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool and made a golden calf. This is basically what this tribe of Nova is. They're not a religious authority. They are a company that is promoting a certain worldview and profiting off of it for the sake of indulgent, emotional, free love culture. They said, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation, said, tomorrow shall be a feast to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, to Adonai. And they rose up early the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. That's Shlemei Zevachim, or Zivchei Shlemim, pardon me, of peace. So the idea of peace was part of their thinking. They thought they were participating in something that had to do with peace. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. So I just wanted to make this video to share some of these things that you probably are aware of already. You can read the organizers released a statement about the unspeakable tragedy. It says organizers of Supernova Sukkot, and just to highlight some of the things they said. Our dear tribe of Nova, first and foremost, we want to convey our sincere and heartfelt condolences, etc. Following that magic night and turned into an exceedingly heavy mourning. So they freely used the word a magic night. What was planned to be the happiest and largest electronic musical festival, this Nova tribe, has turned into a scene of unspeakable tragedy. The horrifying, senseless murder of countless innocent angels whose only crime was being Jewish and living in Israel. It's no wonder that these agents of darkness targets this joyous gathering of children of light. So they're children of light. We will keep fighting until we reach our objective, adorned on our tribe's flag, to spread light throughout the world with the help of the holy people of Israel and the Nova tribe. Yeah, this is tough. This is at the moment our top essential to convey the following messages. The last bit I'll share here. Our strength lies in our unity. We are in a war for our home. It's essential that we all come together, strengthen each other, unite under one great shining light to overcome this dark period as quickly as possible. We send infinite love and massive embrace to all Tribe of Nova members, wishing all of you to stay safe. We continue to pray that goodness and light will always prevail. So, I don't know what more to share about this, other than that if you view these horrific events and the situation that has happened and continues to unfold in the land of Israel right now, I think we do want to remember. Of course, there was other victims aside. I think there were 3,000 roughly that attended this music festival, or psy-trance as they call it, a psychedelic trance music festival in the desert. 3,000 attendees. I believe 260 were murdered and several kidnapped. So about 10% roughly have been either killed or kidnapped. And then, of course, all of the rest traumatized. I even heard from a friend who knew someone whose daughter was there and got it. I think it was a daughter or son, I don't remember, but they were able to escape. And there's victims outside, of course, in the neighboring kibbutzim. But this is a moment we have to pause and say, where is the chokmah? Does wisdom from the covenant perspective have any constraint? Would there be any constraint concerning this kind of event? Now, someone could say, "Oh, you're blaming the victim." No, I'm not blaming the victim. I'm just asking a question that I haven't seen anybody ask, which is, where is wisdom found? As it says in scriptures, where is wisdom found? And I would say, not here, not at this, quote, supernova, Sukkot. But rather, I would suggest that this is the epitome of foolishness. It's people who are not listening to the wisdom of the elders. And it could be a failure of the elders to govern with wisdom. And so, of course, Israel did not see this coming. It was the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, and it was targeted the last day of Tabernacles. It was a Shabbat, a double Shabbat, and here you have this time where you'd think Israel was protected. And my suggestion is, there is no place of protection covenantally in this type of syncretism of something that is God's, His Torah, and Chag HaSukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, and this kind of Buddhist and mystical rainforest religion. Just my thoughts. Shalom.